All right, hopefully this is working. Are you working? Test. Okay. If you would, give me another minute just to get my shit together here and take that in. I'm going to talk about that right off the bat. Let's see. Let's see. Shit. 11:40. There we go. Okay. Okay. See. Alrighty. So, actually, a couple things. Disclaimer: this session's being recorded. I got a camera back there, and I'm mic'd here because. Actually, let me toggle out. Let me look to see what do we have out there. We have. Oh no, I forgot to copy it over. Let's see. Heather Moran sent me the list of who is studying abroad this semester. Actually, does anyone know? Yeah. Okay. So everyone say hi to them. Let's see. The two of them. Actually, let me put their names up here. I think I could probably find it real quick. Let's see. What is this? 371? And of course I can't. And change. No. Oh wait, here we go. Capstone. Oh well. Yeah. Anyway, we'll send them love notes later. And we'll be working with them as they work remotely. Actually, do you know where they are? Do you know? She's
probably she'll probably be in Japan.
Oh, in Japan.
Like confirmation yet.
Oh, is she still here?
No, she's back home right now, but she hasn't got like the full acceptance from school yet. So.
But it should. Or else she'll show up back here.
Yeah, she's not a place to come back.
Yeah, and who, you said Michelle? Or?
Yeah, she's in Copenhagen.
Copenhagen. And do you know if she's there now? Yeah, okay, well, anyway, we'll see how that goes. So anyway, so right now the camera is only focused right on the screen. So, it's, for this by the way, for this particular session, this first meeting, it's mostly going to be me up here just telling you like how it's going to go and all that stuff. So you guys aren't going to be doing, anything. Just, I don't know, stay awake, pay attention, and just take it in, because I'm going to kind of set the stage for everything we're going to be doing when we get together every Friday, right here to do this, the kickoff of your 3-semester capstone, whatever you call it. Well, the project. So I'll be doing most of the talking today. I have things on the slides here. Hopefully my microphones continue to work. I got a backup there. And actually, if we do get into some conversation here back and forth, I hate to do this, but I've got the talking stick here, again, for their benefit. So I may be running over to you and say, like, in sticking this in your face, again, just for their benefit. And so where I'm going to start off with is just kind of to set the stage here. Let me put this back up here. The reason why, I put this here is to kind of, almost it's like a compare and contrast between what Professor Jarvis may have told you, and actually I have no idea what he's told you before about this capstone project that you're going to undertake over the next 3 semesters. But he definitely sets the stage like really big and really ambitious. And my job is actually to do kind of the opposite, to kind of roll you back and say, it's like, okay, yeah, shoot for the stars, but make sure you can get there, I guess, is my job here. And that's what we're going to be doing this semester, is actually coming up with ideas and mostly breaking them down and shooting down your goals and ambitions. Yeah, I guess that's my job. And so you can have all these greatest ideas, like you want to save the whales or something, and it's like, that's great. Go do that in your life. But for school here, we need to do, it's got to be a digital media capstone project, which we will define, like, what constitutes a good project idea. And then also we have to make sure it's feasible. And that's probably the biggest thing. It's like, even though you can kind of conceptualize of, yeah, we're going to take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and and then magic happens, and then we'll start building this, when we get to the other side of our project. Actually later when you're a senior, in the last 2 semesters, you'll start building it. And the worst thing that has happened with the seniors that have gone before you is then they realize, like, oh shit, this is really hard, or it's more than just hard, it's impossible. Like, we do not have the skills here. Or like, for instance, like, okay, so we're going to program this wonderful interface where people, users can interact with this, something we'll talk about, come up with ideas. And then all that data will be put into a database, it's like, into a database, and then you form teams to actually start trying to build that database and the interface, and you can do the interface, but you realize, wait, none of us have any skills in standing up a database and going through the whole normalization, process and actually just making it work. And so maybe, and this is typically what happens, like, oh, we'll get help somewhere in the university. And, and we kind of want to encourage that, like interaction, work with other people, go over to the computer science department, meet some people. And here's where it usually breaks down, is like, so what is going to happen here? You're going to ask some other students, to help you on your project in their spare time. And that, okay, technically that can happen. But usually it doesn't, and that's where all the pain and the crying starts, So basically what we're going to do is make sure that you come up with good ideas that are actually, that would constitute a digital media capstone project, and then the other part is, can it actually be built in basically 2 semesters? Not counting this one. We're just going to come up with the ideas here. So that's why, I kind of start off with this thing. This is actually kind of the story of my life. Always, shoot for here and then realize, like, okay, but this is what I got to do, today. So let's see. Actually, do I want to? Let's see. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to come back to some other things. I'm going to talk about the course. First, some logistics stuff. I'm not going to prattle on about this too long, but my job is hard. I have more classes this semester than I've ever taught before. So I'm trying out some new tools to help me manage. Basically, I have actually a little over 300 students with all my courses this semester. And so some of the things that have been difficult is managing everything in Blackboard. I hate Blackboard. Everyone hates Blackboard. And also email is one of the big things of like dealing with trying to get back to you guys and in a timely fashion. And so that doesn't work as much, but I've been talking to a lot of people, actually friends of mine who teach over at RIT, and so they they've impressed upon me the idea of using Slack for communication and GitHub for all of my course documentation. Now, forget the GitHub part. I'm using GitHub for publishing like the schedule, the syllabus, all of your assignments are going to be in GitHub. But and actually, when we talk about some of your projects and some of the technical things you need to do, you might want to use GitHub, and we can talk about that later. But so for all of my courses, including this one, I'm going to be posting everything not in Blackboard, but in this thing called GitHub. And then for communication, instead of email, we'll use this thing called Slack. So I know some of you, we've already talked about Slack in some of my other courses, or working as TAs and stuff. But just a quick poll: has anyone had hands-on with Slack before? Okay, so it's new to more than half of you. So basically, what it is in a snapshot is it's yet another communications tool. It's a thing you sign up for. It's free, and there's a website that goes with it, and then you can also load a Mac app or a Windows app or apps on your phone. And basically within this, what they call a workspace, you communicate with your team. You send messages back and forth, and you post things, and everyone can kind of see it, which of course sounds very familiar. There's like a million things out there that you could be used, but I'm generalizing everything, or I'm specifically picking Slack for a couple of reasons. Number one, that's what my friends at RIT said. This is the one that works best for us, for these classroom environments. And also for the web development industry, also for actually a lot of software developers in their companies, and also marketing companies have all standardized around Slack as well. And I've seen that in some of the contract consulting work that I've done. Is like, oh yeah, everyone's using Slack. So that's why we're going to jump on board. Out of all of the other ones that might be cool and you might also be familiar with, we're going to use Slack simply because that's where the gravity, at least right now in 2018, the gravity is towards this app called Slack. So anywho, first thing is you guys have to create an account. Actually, an account you have to log into. You just actually, the way they call it, it's not an account, because it's just you have to join the workspace. So I did send out one announcement in Blackboard, which is the only one I'm going to send out, which you should have just gotten an email about an hour ago or so, saying, hey, everything's going to be what was it? Yeah, there's two things in there. In the syllabus, basically links to my syllabus in GitHub, and then thanks for famous. Yeah, then the announcement actually said, you need to sign up for this thing and make your way over there. And so I can see, and you can see too, so some of you have made your way over here and have already logged in and created an account. And so that's good, thank you very much. You all have to do that for two reasons. And this is how we're going to use Slack over the course of the semester. Is number one, it's for me. Instead of just you guys emailing me, and I actually, in all my other courses, all my other students emailing me directly, basically I'm going to impress upon you guys to use this tool to, like, if you have a question, this is where you ask it. Actually, in what they call channels, there's the help channel up there, you'll see in there. That's where you ask questions instead of sending me an email. And the big benefit for that, should be a huge benefit, is generally speaking, if one of you have a question about something, like 5 or 6 of you have the same question. So the idea is, like, one of you asks it and I answer it here, then you guys will see it's like, oh, I had that question too, and there's the answer. So that may cut down on some of my questions by email. And by the way, like I said, I've been using this in my other courses as well, and it's already working out. I'm already getting, although direct messages, which are less useful, but yeah, it's just a better way for you guys and me to communicate back and forth. Also, by the way, in my other courses, I have TAs. It's just us. Yeah, there's no TAs for DMS 371. But also, in my other courses, the TAs also answer questions in the help channel, which is awesome. But anyway, so that's the first thing. Actually, there are three things. So it's our communication, and then also my communication to everyone using the announcements channel, which is set up, only I can use it, so it's not going to be very noisy. But anytime I need to blast a message out to you guys, I'll put it in announcements. And if you have and I actually recommend that you load the phone app, or just load the phone app and leave notifications on. And then whatever happens, like if I'm late coming to campus, or I don't know, or I cancel class, 15 minutes before we're supposed to start, I'm going to put an announcement in there, and so if you're getting notifications, you'll say, oh, class is canceled, and go on your merry way, or something like that. So that's another reason why, load this thing up and get into using this thing. The third thing is actually very important, and actually this is kind of different from my other courses, is one of the missions, I think, of this course, DMS 371, is actually for you guys to get to know each other a little better. To actually, what Professor Jarvis calls is that we have to develop the cohort, which is such an academic thing to say, I guess. But you guys have to really work together and work with more of each other than maybe that you're already doing. And so basically you will be doing stuff as teams, getting together, working together as as a couple people getting together, evaluating things, coming up with ideas, and then we're going to mix it all up, and you'll work with different people. And by the way, I'll be bringing in pizza and stuff like that. So basically, it's it is part of my mission statement for this course, is that you guys enjoy this and have fun and get to know each other. So you can evaluate me on that at the end of the semester. I don't know. I'll try to make this as fun as possible, but work with me. So anyway, regarding Slack, it is a great communication tool for that too as well, because this thing about channels is that you can create channels too, and also you can create private channels. So you can bitch about, how I hate DMS 371. Costin's a jerk, and stuff like that. And as far as I know, I can't see, if you set up a private channel, I have no way to see what's going on inside of it. Even though I set up the workspace. Does anyone know if that's true? Because I keep on telling people that. It's like, go ahead, set up a channel, talk about me, I don't care. And maybe I can see it somehow.
Basically, in Slack, you can create a new channel. Unless you're invited by the person or the other members of the channel, you wouldn't be able to see it until you search for it, but I think you can still see it, just not part of it.
Oh, yeah, right. You can not be in a channel, but then you can join a channel whenever you want, unless the person who set it up set it as private. Then you won't. Then like if you set up a channel, I won't even see that it exists. No one else will see it then it exists, but the person who creates the channel can then invite people to it, right? And even though I have super privileges here as admin, I'm pretty sure that means that I can't see. So anyway, watch your language till we figure that out. But I'm pretty sure that, you're not, it's, knock yourself out. I don't know why I'm inviting that, but there you go. So there's that. Let me put that aside for a sec and go back to this. Now, if I did things right, literally about an hour or so ago, you should be able to get to this, our course documentation, sheets. Actually, let me get back to the README. Like I said, I'm maintaining this in this tool called GitHub, which is a good collaboration tool for development work. Which, like I said, depending on what you do and well, actually not only for this course, for any course, but also in this course, you might want to get into using GitHub as well. But anyway, I'm using it to store all this stuff. And as you see there's a couple actually simple assignments. Actually, one thing I want to work on today, which is just kind of a gimme, where I'm going to force you to use Slack, damn it, or you'll lose, I don't know, a point or something off your final grade. So we'll do that in a minute. And then also there's an assignment for next week that we'll talk about. But also there is the syllabus and the schedule. Notice I keep that different in two separate files. So again, this is not going to be in Blackboard. I'm going through divorce proceedings with Blackboard. It's just I just got to purge my way out of it. All I'm going to use Blackboard for this semester is your grades. So when you will still submit things in Blackboard, which I haven't really set up yet. And that's where I'll grade it, and that's where you'll see your ongoing grades, for this stuff. But everything else, all the information about those assignments and everything we're doing will be, in this world right here. Actually, let me back up. So this link up here, it's not that long, but anyway, do what you got to do. Bookmark it. Come back often, and make sure that you can find your way back. I don't know if you can't quite see it up there, but I did put that in Blackboard. Actually, was that in the announcement that went out about an hour ago, which should be in your email, right? So anyway, quickly to the syllabus, blah, 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 words. Real quick, I don't know if this is going to be necessary for you guys, but I'm kind of offering this in all my classes. I have one of my other courses, CSE 170, which is huge. There's 120 students in there, and it has a lecture part of it and 3 separate labs. And actually, I know most of you from, has everyone taken CSE 170 with me, or most? Yeah, you guys? Yeah, so anyway, so you know how it goes with the labs is especially in the beginning of the semester, like right now, that course the labs are packed. And then slowly, one by one, you guys, they will figure out, it's like, oh wow, I could just, pull the assignment online and work in my dorm, or at home, and I don't actually have to go to the lab unless I need help, and sometimes they still don't go to the lab. But that means that those labs for that course is basically, it's staffed, I go to them, and there's not much going on. So basically I'm offering to everyone else, including you guys, is that if you need anything else, like office hours basically, this is what I'm calling open office hours. In these locations, at these times, I'll be there, come by, and I'll help you with, when we get busy and doing stuff in this course, and you need help, that's where you'll find me. Now there will be times where I'm actually doing stuff with CSE 170, and administering an exam or something like that, or actually doing some teaching in the lab. So basically what I'll do is I'll send out an announcement in Slack saying, that the open office hours are not available on certain days. So there's that. And then also in Slack, I guess I call them virtual office hours. I'll post later in Slack when I have virtual office hours where I will dedicate time, like after hours or something like that, where I will exclusively work on all of your questions or all of your needs, or anything that you put in the help channel in Slack. Like I said, it will be kind of virtual office hours. Still, at the end of the day, if you need to have a private talk in my office right around the corner here in Maury, there's nothing scheduled in terms of regular office hours, but as it says up there, you just send me an email, we'll set something up, and you can come by and we can take care of whatever you need. Scooting down here a little bit in the syllabus here's the information about going to Slack, setting up your account, logging into it, and then here's the web interface for it. So if you haven't already, do jump in there and make sure you can get in there, because like I said, everything's going to be focused in our Slack workspace. My usual grading shtick. The breakdown of your grades. First of all, let's see, I have to give you a little fire and brimstone thing about like, this course will be fun. Okay, so I've done DMS 371 2 times before. So it's still relatively a new thing. And every time I'm changing it. Anyway, for these 2 times that I've taught DMS 371 before, people have failed this course. Both of those times, which blows my mind, because it's not, I mean, first of all, it's a 2-credit course. It's not supposed to be too, what's the word, cumbersome, or, it's a 2-credit course. And basically, yeah, our job is to come up with and explore capstone ideas. So it's like, hey, sounds easy, right? If you don't take my meaning right, you won't do what you still need to do to pass this 2-credit course. And that's what's happened in the past. So I don't know, I guess I'm saying, don't let that happen to you. There are still things that you got to do. You got to turn in things on time. And we got to keep the ball moving forward. And the worst thing, I guess, if you literally do nothing, you get nothing. So like if there's an assignment, you got to do it, you got to turn it in. So that's number 1. And number 2 is if you don't actually, if you do what is common, and I know we all do it, like for a lot of things which in your mind you consider kind of a low priority, you wait to the last minute, and it's obvious when you do that. You squirt things out, you don't meet half the requirements, and so besides failing this 2-credit course, you can also get a low grade. So the idea is like, make sure you don't wait to the last minute, read the requirements of all the assignments, because everything will be graded, and make sure take some time on this stuff. The worst part about this course is, for a lot of us and the way a lot of our brains work, is that, yeah, we only get together on Fridays. So that means on Thursday night you'll be busy, right? Yeah, no. You got to back it up, because what you'll find is on Thursday night you'll look at like, oh my God, there's actually a lot of little itty bitty things I'm supposed to do for this assignment that's due tomorrow morning, and you basically don't have enough time to do it right. So that's the mistake I'm talking about. So yeah, not only is it possible to fail this course, but it also is possible to get a low grade in this course if you basically don't dedicate the amount of time that you still have to spend working on the stuff that we're going to be doing this semester. Okay, so that aside, this stuff that's up here, the wording will change, because I'm working with some of the other instructors. Actually, Professor, what's her name? Aschenfelder. Oh God, this is recorded, isn't it? Sorry, Stephanie. And Professor Jarvis and I have been talking about like other things where you guys will actually work together with the seniors from this year who are going through the actual capstone development part. So you're going to follow some of the seniors, you're going to write up what they're doing, and actually that'll be some of your assignments. Is basically like one of the things that we dreamed up actually just a week or so ago, is that wouldn't it be nice if you guys write a press release for what they're working on, and then they can use your press release that you write for part of their things, their projects that they're launching. And it's like, oh yeah, that's great, the idea of not only building a cohort amongst you guys here in DMS 371, but building a cohort between you and the seniors. So that stuff is new, which means some of this will change, because we're really making this shit up as we go. But actually, I think it's actually going to be, it's good ideas. I'm getting pretty excited about some of the things that we're coming up with. We'll talk about more of that as we go through it. Due dates is more the, fire and brimstone. God love you if you don't get something turned in on time. That being said, you guys, you know me, in terms of this is probably such a mistake to say this out the front of my face, but when it comes to due dates, I'm flexible. I'll bend over backwards for you guys, but don't piss me off. When it says like it's due, like actually your first assignment, part of it is due on Wednesday next week. There's a reason for that, and I actually do need you to turn in, actually it's going to be a one-page PowerPoint slide by Wednesday next week, and that's the due date. Okay, and I think I actually put it as like 5 p.m. on Wednesday next week. Okay, so what happens at 5 p.m. on Wednesday next week? Nothing. If you turn it in at 6 p.m. or maybe 8 a.m. the next morning, yes, we're okay. 8 a.m. on Friday when it was due back on Wednesday, yeah, that's right out. And so, like I said, so yes, I'm flexible on due dates. I don't actually write that down. This is what I write down, up there on the screen, let's try not to push it. Okay, academic honesty, stuff like that, all good words. Hope we don't go afoul of that kind of stuff, but there it is. So now the schedule there, as you can see, actually I just wiped out everything because we're kind of changing, and I want to keep this very fluid. Basically the schedule is, from a very high level, I'm just going to tell you out the front of my face here, is that we're going to do a lot of activities, working with the seniors, kind of following them around on days other than Friday, which is going to be interesting to try to schedule. Then we're going to get in here, come up with ideas, and basically squash them like bugs. And as we go through that process, which I don't know how long it will take, which is why there's nothing really filled in on the schedule yet. When we start having good ideas, you guys are going to kind of clock over into idea generation, to doing this other kind of process called, I left my coffee in my office. See, I'm blanking, and I need my coffee juice. It'll come to me. It's basically you have to build something, a prototype, but that's not the word, a working demonstration kind of thing of whatever it is your idea is. It doesn't have to be clean. It doesn't have, basically you have to proof of concept. That was it. A thing called, actually, has anyone heard that term before? Proof of concept. Actually, does anyone define it very specifically, or you just kind of know what that means? Yeah. Oh yeah, so yeah, proof of concept. Did I talk about proof of concept? Okay, yeah, so proof of concept is, you can, just read a lot into the words there. It doesn't have to look anything like what you're actually going to build, or your idea is. But if you can't just demonstrate that it is actually feasible, not only feasible to do, but feasible for you to do, or you as a group to do, then forget it. It's right out. And that's what we're going to do later in this semester, is build some proof of concepts. It's just to kind of prove to yourself, is like, oh yeah, that is hard to do, as opposed to waiting to when you're a senior and you actually say, okay, we're going to do this, and then find out, holy shit, this is like, I didn't know we had a program in C++ to build this thing that seems so easy in my mind. So we'll get to that later. Anywho, let's see. So the Slack thing, changing gears back to this. This is going to be easy. And this is a gimme, and yes, I'm going to grade this, but this is only because I really want you to do this, to throw yourself into Slack. And you can do this right now. Basically, there's 3 things I want you to try out on Slack, just to make sure we baselined all of our basic understanding of how it works. So assuming you have, or you can do this right now, create your account and get access to our Slack workspace. And basically in the chatter channel, By the way, I forgot how I set up. Does everyone see for everyone that is in here now, in the DMS 371 workspace, can you see the chatter channel? You can't? Oh, yes. That's right. I did this on purpose. Okay, yeah. For channels, actually I did not realize this, is that when I create a channel, I thought everyone just magically saw it. So then I found out in another class, like, no. So sometimes you have to find it. So, wait, what'd you say?
You have to click the little thing that says channels.
Yes. Click channels.
The chatter should show, if you search chatter.
Yeah, or it should be right in the list here of like channels you can join, and then so manually join it. So yeah, that was one step, and I did that on purpose this time. Yep, thank you. Nice. Yep. And basically, refer back to the instructions. And again, it's just like, it's like, really, you want us to do this? Again, it's just a little practice, and it's all part of cohort building. Basically, introduce yourself. Nothing, don't write a tome of, I was born on a cold December day. Just, I don't know, say, who you are. I just realized, like earlier, I said, like, what's your major? I know what your major is. Anything else? Other majors, minors, whatever. And then, how I usually play, my Pandora station, which I originally seeded with the band Orbital. And like when people are coding, I usually play it in the class. Like, I don't know if you came late, but like, when you came in here, I was playing my Orbital channel, But that's my selection. So what I've been doing, and actually in all my courses, is I ask you guys, okay, what kind of music would you rather hear? Or not rather hear, but what's your favorite either band or artist or song? Something that I can use in Pandora to seed a new channel. And I don't know if you know how that works, but anyway, so make some suggestions. So that's number one thing is put something out there. Nothing angry, please. No angry, screaming music that will make me nervous. And then the next thing is I want you to try out using the reactions there, like a thumbs up or, hey, 100 or, whatever it is. Do that. And then the third thing is to make a reply to, just arbitrarily I said, like, 3 other people's posts. Actually, in Slack they call them messages. And now here's the thing, I got to show you something because, well, first I have to tell you, it's like I don't love Slack. The way the user interface is built, it's kind of wonky. And there's one thing I really hate about it is this. Actually, if you take a look up at the screen here, is you got this box down here where you type in your messages, obviously. So if you want to reply to someone else's message, you see it up there, like Connolly just put her, hers there, so I would just type it right there, right? No, if you want to reply to an existing message, you have to find the Start a Thread button. So basically you hover over like the message that you want to reply to, then you see the little pop-up there with the little icons. Find the little bubble one that says Start a Thread and then click that. And then over there, yep, yay, thank you. That's where you reply to an existing message. So now, the way the interface is built, it kind of looks like you would do it over here, but that's not where you should do it. So that's the part of the interface that I don't really like. And because it's so obvious there, intuitively you would say, it's like, oh, that's where I should type, right? So anyway, I'm harping on this because I want to try to keep these threads clean, or basically the messages clean, so it's actually more useful for us. So try to remember that. You'll forget it. I'll forget it. We'll remind each other. It's like, try to remember to use, the Start a Thread button when replying to any message. You'll hear from me a million times. So that's the third thing I just want you to try out. So there you go. Thank you for your, participation, you've just got a point, I don't know, a participation point in DMS 371. You're on your way to your A. But I wanted to kind of force that on you. I'll go through this later. Actually, by next week, make sure you kind of get in there and do, you know, the assignment, in air quotes, and we're all good. And like I said, don't hesitate to like set up a channel, a little back channel, and if I hear you guys laughing too much, I don't know. Well, let's see. So the other thing is actually stuff going on for next week. Now there is an event next week. This is not up here, but I will post this in Slack, and also I'll update the schedule to put this thing I'm about to tell you will be in the schedule that's not there yet. Next Thursday, here in this room, will be the first DMS fair. So it's another one of these things that, actually, has anyone heard this from like Jarvis or anything? What? Okay.
It's like they're going to showcase their stuff.
Yes, a showcase here next Thursday, I think about 5 o'clock or 5:15 p.m. So you shouldn't have anything else. Actually, let me just quick poll. Does anyone else like have a class or another commitment next Thursday, next week, Thursday at about 5 to, what do you say, 7? You do?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. It's like we can't get, you know, it's like make participation mandatory. It's like, what do you got?
Recruitment.
Yeah. That's fine, that's fine. Anyway, so what actually I thought, because, you know, we were going back and forth on this, so it's like, I can't make it mandatory because it's not scheduled, it's not, you know, whatever. So I'll try to, you know, it might be a shit show, but I'm going to try to record everything with my video camera and then post that online somewhere. But anyway, so yeah, there's going to be a bunch of things going on here. Actually, it's a partial recruiting event for people who are interested in DMS. It'll be an announcement. Actually, do you guys know the big announcement for our program is we're going to offer a DMS minor. Does that excite people? I don't know. Well, no, I guess not you guys. It's like, oh, now you tell me, right? Yeah, so Jarvis has all the details. He's been working on trying to put this together for a while. So yeah, we're going to announce that we're the creation of a DMS minor. And then the seniors are going to do their shtick here, present their capstone projects that they're working on and actually starting to build this semester. That part is really, actually that's the quote-unquote mandatory part for you guys to see. Best if you're here, of course, because I have no idea how well their video recording is going to go. But you need to see what the seniors are working on, because like I said before, one of the new assignments that I'm still writing up is in groups. Maybe you guys will pick a group of seniors, I guess. We haven't figured out how we're going to do this. And you will, shadow them. You know, work with them. So, in other words, outside of this Friday meeting, you've got other things that you'll need to be doing. You're going to be working with these other people and basically sitting in on their meetings and figuring out what they're doing and seeing what's going on, which hopefully, obviously, the idea is that you see the trials and tribulations of what they're going through before you have to go through it. So that's the idea there. There will be assignments. You'll have to write like what we call reflection papers, you know, and turn them in here to DMS 371 about what you're seeing out there. You will also have to write, a press release for their stuff, that kind of stuff. And we'll see how that goes. But anyway, so that's more stuff that will be there in the schedule. And like I said, I'll be sending out announcements in Slack about that. So there's that. But meanwhile, so enough about them, let's talk about us. And let's see how we're doing here. Get back to, actually, just want to see My phone's blowing up. Okay, it's nothing, just family stuff. Let's see, where did I leave? Oh yeah, PowerPoint. So back to this thing. Again, this is all in the spirit of, a very high-level overview of what we are doing in DMS 371, not counting the stuff that I just talked about, which is all new. So about the idea or the process for, remember the words, interactive product development. Now, I use the word product probably incorrectly because that's not really the goal of a DMS capstone, but that is what I trained you, and had you focus on for back in DMS 104. Basically, from a very high level, that process, the Cooper process, is very applicable and very helpful actually for the first part of the next semester of your capstone process. Basically, the design work for your project that you'll develop in the last semester, you should really, seriously think about using, bits and pieces of the DMS 104 stuff that we talked about, back in that course. Now, just a couple quick things on that, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about this. But that Cooper process and that 700-page book, that was a ton of detail, and the kind of stuff that you would focus on if you were a multi-million-dollar company with like a huge staff. You have like people working on a project, and you go through everything in huge detail. In fact, one of the things I did, I think a year ago, I brought in a friend of mine from Excelis, Blue Cross Blue Shield. Actually, that's right. And some of you went to that presentation where a friend of mine, Susie, who is a marketing executive over in Excelis, basically, I brought her in there just for her to tell DMS students the kind of stuff and the projects that they work on, for the purpose of you realizing it's like, holy shit, all this stuff that we did in DMS 104, actually big companies actually do that stuff. Maybe they use different names, they make up part of the processes themselves, they customize the hell out of it, but they actually do all that stuff for those big projects. Now here's the idea, and my point on this, and putting this back in front of you, is that you can pick and choose. You can winnow things down, do a fast, small version, but to the best of your ability, when you go through the process in, I guess it would be DMS 372, when you're doing the design work, you should basically cherry pick the things in this process that make sense for whatever it is that you're going to develop, which includes, of course, like, meeting with potential users of whatever system or thing, that you're going to build. Talking to them, and not only just saying, hey, I'm going to build this thing. Do y'all like it? It's like, of course, they're going to say, yeah, okay, I like it. You got to get into, kind of picking their brains in terms of how they interact with other things that are similar, what their expectations are, do the whole requirements development thing. And even if you don't do a huge process, doing it just a little during DMS 372 is hugely important. And based on what we've seen, other seniors going through this process before, I can absolutely tell you, to the degree that you don't do it, we can tell. Basically, if you just imagine, like, this is this thing I'm imagining in my head, and now I'm going to start building it. Yeah, we can tell that, oh, you didn't really talk to anyone, did you? So pick and choose, and when you get there in DMS 372. But is where this has to do with DMS 371, should be obvious, I hope, is basically this entire semester, this 2-credit course, is basically all about the idea generation, which again, that should be the fun part. We're going to brainstorm and come up with ideas using your mind. And then, like I said, we'll squash your ideas like bugs. But that's where we are in the process. So what exactly, and what is the criteria for these ideas? Well, this is just, actually this whole next thing, this is all right up inside of here. If we blow that part up there, we need to start talking, and you guys need to start thinking about things like this. Is the best ideas start with love, emotion, something that creates, elicits an emotional response from people. And it doesn't really have to be, you know, like huge, like sobbing tears or laughs of joy or something like that. It can be really subtle. I'm trying to put the bar really low, you know, but it does matter, you know. So something that not only you feel passionate about, but you think that you can build to get some kind of similar response out of someone else. Okay? And we'll basically, I'll be coming back to this, you know, a million times over the course of the semester, but so I'll just put that out there. So that's one thing. And then the next thing is, whatever it is that you come up with, that's where it's kind of getting into some of the research that you'll do in DMS 372, but basically, well, you know, you have to really pull it back. Okay, so it's a concept, but you need to document, actually, you know, write down what goes into all these things to basically create that emotional response. What is going to have to be there? And don't just have it all in your head. Like I said, the big thing is write it down and be able to talk about it and stuff like that. That's what we're going to be doing in this semester mostly, is, you know, going through that process of defining, okay, that's a great idea. What do you mean? And you're going to have to, well, I keep saying it, but you have to write it down and turn it in, and I will grade the, you know, the structure and the, you know, completeness of your ideas. And that's that part of there where you define, the define phase. And then based on that, then basically it goes kind of back into this whole thing of, it goes back actually to all of us, where this ideation phase, and this is where, you know, the best ideas, you know, will actually get fleshed out, is when, you know, it starts from one person, but if you can communicate it to other people, they start adding ideas, we start brainstorming as a group. To kind of say, it's like, that's good, and how about if you also do this or do something else? And there, when we get to those kind of discussions, I'll share with you some of the things I learned back in charm school. Literally, that's what we used to call it. Back in my corporate days, we would go to, like, you know, really expensive training programs, as, you know, like whole teams of people in the company. Actually, when I worked at Xerox, they would send us off on these retreats to learn how to talk to each other, like how to do good meeting dynamics, you know, how to actually, you know, create an agenda and stick to it, all that basically stuff that we usually and still call bullshit, but you got to learn those things. And like one of my favorite ones was this, is that when you're in a group discussion, actually remember this. This is like one of those, you know, adulting 101 things. Never say, when someone says something and comes up with like, here, how about if we do this? Never say, I have a better idea. Say, I have another idea. Like little things like that, you know. Those little meeting dynamics kind of things, I'll share with that as much as I can. And so that would be in the whole brainstorming phase. So, from that, then we get into where the ideas started getting, you know, all your dreams get crushed, basically. We have to bring it back to DMS, Digital Media Studies. And what does that really mean? So basically, digital means computer. Something has to go in and something has to go out. And so this model of like media, where we really have to back the bus all the way up to what do we mean digital media? You know, and so what we really mean is, you know, the obvious ones: text, photos, sound, videos, anything like that is, you know, something that exists in real life, goes into a computer, and that could be something like, you know, like on a message board, people typing. Okay, that's text and it's input by someone. Or like, you know, you start off with a digital photograph that we're going to change somehow or something like that. But we need to define it, you know, not just say, it's like, we're going to capture people's emotions. You know, it's like, okay, I hear you. You know, it's like, how are you going to digitize, you know, that? And there can be a way through representational, you know, media, but we need to define that. What goes in, skip over all this stuff, and then what comes out. You know, it is also needs to be, you know, basically digital media goes in and or digital media goes out. It needs to be defined. I need you to start thinking about, right off the bat, in terms of this model here. One of the most interesting things, which I don't think is actually being worked on by the seniors this semester, because they decided to do something else, but one student had, maybe know the person who came up with it, was the idea that there was a device that is available, you could buy it for about $700. Basically, it's electrodes that you can put on your head, and it reads brainwave activity. And it outputs a stream of basically numbers that are read from your brainwave activity. Okay? And the idea was, the capstone idea was, take that, process it somehow, we'll talk about that, and output it to pictures. So basically create a bitmap of different colors which were generated by a person's thoughts. That is a great digital media studies capstone project. And it fits this model perfectly, because basically it's not on this list. You know, it's basically brain waves get read by a device. You know, that's the input. So not one of these devices, but in this $700 thing that you can buy off the internet. Then we need to figure out, how do we take that data stream and turn them into red, green, blue values, and then output them to a monitor or something like that. And then, of course, the burning question, which is it going to look like just a big blob of gray, you know, or is it going to be actually pretty? Hopefully it'll be pretty. But in any case, for whatever reason, I don't think that project is being worked on. So actually, that's still a project idea. Although I know none of you will do it because someone else thought of it. By the way, did anyone hear of that one? Okay, good. So it's still up there. I mean, it's still a device that's, like I said, we can afford it in the program. If you want to buy that stuff, I'll fill out the paperwork, you know, and submit it to, you know, the finance gods here, and we'll try to get it, and we'll load it in the lab, which is, you know, downstairs here. And that would be an idea which is properly defined using this basic computer model for, you know, evaluating what is a good DMS capstone project idea versus something which can't be defined this way, which kind of begs the question, if you can't kind of put it in these kind of terms, is it really a digital media studies capstone project idea or not? So there's that. So the idea there is, and then we get to your idea. Can you define it in terms of the basic computer model? And then if so, we will spend time this semester, go ahead, build something. You know, and you know, we'll basically evaluate as a group, did it work? Is it useful? Did you learn something like, oh, it doesn't really work like we thought, but actually there's still something useful that, you know, we can do with it. Or this is just a pile of shit and just forget it and go on to another idea. So that's basically where we're going this semester. Finally, let's see. Last few minutes, let me tell you, besides the thing that I told you about on Thursday, the DMS fair, I think that's our branding for it, it's a fair. That's here. You also have to put together, actually start thinking of ideas now. Actually, no, this wouldn't be a fair question. Does anyone already have ideas that you've been noodling, you know, throughout your whole program? Okay, all right. Okay, we'll talk. Actually, I'm not going to, you know, have you like, so tell me what it is now. You know, that's good to know that a couple of you have already starting to noodle it. You need to write it down now if you haven't, and actually put it in a very tight type of format. for this class. Basically, I wanted to kind of beat you guys into like, we're all going to do things in a certain way and bring it back to this room next Friday. And this is the way I want you to do it. And basically, where did I put? Do I still have it open? Nope, I should close that. Turn up. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is the assignment for, basically it's due, as it says up there, Wednesday, 5 p.m. God, help you if you don't get it right on 5 p.m. Submit it in Blackboard. Okay? Well, 5 p.m., whatever. I need some time. Actually, the reason I'm saying Wednesday is because I need time to get your basically your files arranged and basically, well, I'm jumping ahead a little bit here. It's just I want a one-slide PowerPoint file from every one of you that I'm going to cobble together, stitch it together in a certain order, and then so next Friday you guys are going to come up here and do like, this is my idea, blah blah blah. And then we'll go to the next one and the next one. And instead of having you guys fumble with the AV here, I'm just going to have it on my laptop. So again, I need some time. And actually, I was going to have it I don't need that much time, but we got that thing on Thursday. So I need a little more time. So you get a little less time. So that means please get it to me, Wednesday end of day. That gives me all of Thursday to get it all pulled together so we can get together on Friday and actually power through all of your ideas. So what are the requirements? Words, basically relating to what I just went over, has to have some empathetic connection with some, person or people. And here's the thing, it's like, be explicit. You gotta write down. Who cares? All people, humans. No, it's like, try to be a little more, empathy usually starts with something a little more specific about like a group of people or a type of person. And so that has to be part of, on the slide somewhere. And you're going to talk about, who is this for and why would they care? And why do you think they would have some kind of, emotional reaction to this idea if it were actually to come to fruition? So, and it could be general, something like music lovers or, Pokemon enthusiasts or something like that. But, actually think about it and write it down on the slide. It has to be a feasible digital media idea. And so going back to that slide about the input, processing, and output, just kind of, connect the dots here for us as part of it. And also, here's the other thing too. And unless you guys really think it's like, do I have to? I really want you to at least come up with 2 ideas. Mostly because, well, I know you probably have 1 idea, right? 2, yeah, okay. I know, and the thing is like people get so emotionally invested in it, and by the way, that there is a good chance it will never make it to next year, because you guys will vote on each other's ideas. So start thinking about another idea. So kind of spread your love, among other things. So I do want you to come up with 2 ideas. And then also I want you to contrast them. They just have to contrast in some way, like it's a big idea, small idea, ambitious or simple, or I don't know. But yeah, and also be explicit in terms of what the contrast is between the 2 ideas. And then, so here we go. This is the tough part, and this is actually on purpose, is to kind of, remind you that doing good presentation work is not just like, well, it's kind of stuff that was beating into you guys, kind of like insanely beating you guys in DMS 104. Like, you will learn how to do presentations. God, yeah, it has to follow those rules, Costin's rules. Actually, they're not my rules. About like whatever you put on the slide is what you should be talking about. You should not go off and talk about things that are not on the slide, and anything on the slide you should talk about. So that's the hard part about this thing. So anyway, I do have linked here, let's see if I set this up right, a PowerPoint file. It looks like this. This is like mine. Notice it has a little script there. It takes me about a minute and 25 seconds to read it. You don't necessarily have to have a verbatim script, but I kind of recommend it. It doesn't matter if you're looking at your script. I don't care about that for this kind of stuff. But it's good practice. So you put together like something like this, and here's just some crappy ideas. Voila. 2 ideas on a slide. And so, put your name up there. Don't embellish this thing with like, heavy graphics and stuff like that, especially keeping in mind that I'm going to have to try and stitch all your slides together, which if you use different templates, it becomes kind of a pain in the butt. Actually, it just becomes a mess. So yeah, keep it like real plain and simple, like this, I would appreciate. 2 sides would be good, and actually in PowerPoint or Google Slides, however you do it. There's a template, there's things where you can basically set this up very easily in some pull-down menu, whatever. So on one side is one idea, on the other side is the other idea. Notice how I even said like, how they contrast each other. My digital teapot idea, like who is it for? Who would care? Who would like say, oh, I love this? Tea enthusiasts. It gives, that's not much information, but it gives me something to go on here. That's who I'm, those are people too. So I wrote it down there, what it is, what the purpose is, and how it will work. And then another idea, there you go, some more words there. And stand up here for, like I said, about a minute, or whatever the parameters I said. Basically say my words. Actually, let's see if I can get there. I know you can't read this, but the idea here is like, I got my script here. I would say these words while these words are on the screen. And I will be grading, like your ability to remember that is that, can't just get up here and wing it. So you do that. Let me get back to the instructions. You can use my PowerPoint file as a template. Let me just make sure, anything else? Yeah, make sure, oh yeah, this is my big bugaboo. This really pisses me off, is like clips and phrases only, as opposed to like, you can talk a whole full sentences and paragraphs, but the only things that should be on the slides are clips and phrases, like just for context only. Yo.
So when you say you want something that's like a big idea versus a small idea, do you mean like big, like hard to implement?
Yeah, a big idea.
Do you mean big as in like hard to implement? Do you mean big as in like the scope of what it's affecting, and small as in like easy to implement and like not affecting a huge like